I didn't want to be there. Every step up Damon's front walk felt like I was marching toward my own execution. The neighborhood was quieter than I expected, the kind of quiet that made me hyper-aware of the sound of my sneakers crunching on the pavement. When I rang the doorbell, I braced myself for Damon's trademark smirk, maybe a dramatic, mocking bow as if I were his servant arriving for duty. Instead, the door creaked open to reveal him in a loose t-shirt and sweatpants. Barefoot. My brain stalled. Damon, the cocky, untouchable rival who strutted through school like he owned the place, looked normal, casual, comfortable. Somehow, that unsettled me more than anything else. "You're late," he said, though the grin tugging at his mouth betrayed his amusement. "It's 5 minutes past," I muttered. 5 minutes is 5 minutes too long. "Come in." Reluctantly, I stepped inside. His house smelled faintly of laundry detergent and something spicy, maybe leftovers from lunch. The living room wasn't the sleek, pristine space I imagined. It looked lived in. A blanket was tossed across the couch, a video game controller sat on the coffee table, and a stack of folded laundry balanced precariously on the armrest. I blinked. "You actually do chores? Shocking, right?" He plopped onto the couch, grabbing the controller. "But lucky for you, I saved some just for today." "Of course you did." 10 minutes later, I was standing over a pile of his laundry, holding up a t-shirt that definitely didn't belong to me. Damon leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, watching me with obvious delight. "You fold like my grandma," he teased. I scowled. "Maybe I'll just crumple everything into a ball and call it a day." "You wouldn't dare. I've got high standards." "Oh, I've noticed," I shot back, rolling my eyes as I smoothed the shirt. My fingers brushed against the faint warmth of the fabric, and for some stupid reason, I thought about how it must have clung to his body earlier. Heat crept up my neck and I shoved the shirt into the pile before he could notice. Damon's grin widened anyway, like he could read my thoughts. "Careful. You're blushing." "I'm not." "You are." Before I could argue, he dragged me into the kitchen. "New chore. Help me cook dinner." "I'm not your maid." "No, you're my obedient little loser," he said cheerfully, tossing me an apron. I caught it against my chest, glaring, but ended up tying it around my waist anyway. Damon leaned in close, inspecting my attempt at tying the knot. His fingers brushed against mine, just a fleeting touch but enough to jolt through me like a spark. "Not bad," he murmured, voice low enough to tickle the back of my neck. I pulled away quickly. "Just tell me what to do." The next half hour was chaos. He insisted on teaching me how to chop vegetables, but half the time he leaned too close, his breath warm against my cheek, or nudged me with his shoulder until I nearly dropped the knife. At one point, I managed to spill sauce across the counter, and he laughed so hard I wanted to smack him with the spoon. It should have been annoying. And it was. But under the irritation was something else, something I didn't want to admit, a strange flutter in my chest that refused to settle. Dinner ended up edible, surprisingly. We sat across from each other, plates steaming between us. Damon didn't bother with table manners, lounging back in his chair with a smug smile. "You'd make a decent house husband," he said casually. I nearly choked on my bite. "Excuse me? You cook, you clean, with a little training you'd be perfect." His eyes gleamed with mischief. I shoved a forkful of food into my mouth just to avoid answering. He leaned forward, elbows resting on the table. "Relax, I'm kidding." "Mostly." The way he said it, though, didn't feel like a joke. His gaze lingered longer than it should have, tracing my face as if searching for something. My pulse jumped. "Stop staring at me," I muttered. "What?" "You look good in my kitchen." I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. Was that flirting? Or just another way to mess with me? "Damon." He cut me off with a grin. "Don't worry. I won't bite. Not unless you ask." The fork clattered against my plate. My ears burned. He laughed softly, clearly enjoying my reaction, but behind the teasing glint in his eyes, I caught something else. Something softer. Later, when we settled in the living room, Damon sprawled across the couch while I sat stiffly on the edge of the cushion. He flicked through channels aimlessly until he landed on a sports game. "My dad used to watch this," he said suddenly, his tone different, quieter, almost reflective. I glanced at him, surprised. "Used to?" "He's not around much anymore." His smirk faltered just for a second. "Work. Travel. Whatever excuse he has this time." The Damon I knew, the arrogant rival, the smug tormentor, slipped away, leaving behind someone human. Someone who knew what it felt like to be let down. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to make a sarcastic comment, to brush it off. But another part of me, The part that remembered the flicker of vulnerability in his eyes, stayed silent. When he caught me watching him, the mask snapped back into place. He grinned. "Don't look so serious. You'll give me the wrong idea." Too late, I thought. The evening stretched on, full of little jabs and bickering until I felt half exhausted, half charged with something I couldn't name. I stood to leave, grabbing my bag, but Damon blocked my path with a wicked grin. "Not so fast. You haven't finished your chores." I groaned. "What now?" "Wrestle me." "What?" "You heard me." He lunged, catching me off guard. I stumbled back, laughing despite myself as I shoved at his shoulders. We grappled like kids, the couch cushions slipping under our weight. "Get off," I demanded, but he only laughed harder, pinning my wrists above my head with alarming ease. His body loomed over mine, his breath warm against my face. The laughter died in my throat. We froze. His smirk softened into something unreadable. My chest rose and fell rapidly, my heart hammering as the space between us shrank to nothing but heat. His gaze dropped to my lips, then back to my eyes. I swallowed hard. Neither of us moved. The silence pressed heavy, electric, every second stretching like an eternity. And then, he pressed me against the wall, pinning me there, our faces just inches apart. For once, Damon didn't speak. Didn't tease. He just looked at me, his eyes dark, his breath mingling with mine as if daring me to close the gap. My body betrayed me. I leaned in ever so slightly, caught between anger, fear, and something hotter than both. The world fell away. All that remained was him. If you enjoyed this steamy ride of love, power, and desire, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more hot BL stories that will leave your heart racing. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next episode.